Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally official. Fernando Alonso will return to Formula 1 next year, 2021, at Renault alongside Esteban Ocon. Plenty of stories yesterday saying that it was going to be announced this morning, and we all waited to see if the rumours were true, and indeed they are. The Spaniard, the two-time Formula 1 world champion, I actually cannot believe he's back. I really can't. Renault themselves, they teased us this morning, putting out a little voice teaser, the voice of Fernando Alonso winning his world championship. They put out a sound familiar teaser, one of the old V8 engines. But I tell you what a surprise this is to the Formula 1 world. Of course, this all sparks from the big transfer sagas during the lockdown period, with Sebastian Vettel first announcing he won't be returning to Ferrari next season. We then had a cascade of Ricciardo going to McLaren, Sainz going to Ferrari, and the result was there was a seat available at Renault. And I did quite a few videos at length at the time talking about Renault and saying I personally think it's best for the team if they wait a little bit of time. They've got some fantastic youngsters in Formula 2. They've got Guan Yu Zhou, who looked pretty much nailed on to win that first feature race last weekend before reliability issues. And they've also got Christian Lundgaard. Why not wait till the end of the season? Maybe look at the likes of Pierre Gasly and see how he develops over the year. A driver like Hülkenberg, something like that. And also to assess the abilities of Esteban Ocon. But the team haven't done that. They've brought back Fernando, and you can understand why when you look at some of the statistics. 314 Grand Prix, 2 World Championships, a little bit back in time now, 2005 and 2006. But this is where it gets spicy. 32 victories, 97 podiums, 22 pole positions. And not only are those statistics just fantastic on their own, when you also consider the fact that a lot of those wins, a lot of those podiums were in mediocre cars. Ferrari 2010, he almost won the World Championship. Likewise, in 2012, he's always been able to get the best out of his vehicles, and that's exactly why Renault have brought him in. I'll read out a couple of statements now from Renault, and then I'll go through a few of my reasons why Renault have brought him to the team and some final thoughts. However, if you are not already subscribed and you're part of that 76% that watch the videos, I would really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to keep up to date with all Formula 1 2020 news reviews, that big red button is down below. I think we'll start off with comments from the managing director, the team principal of Renault, Cyril Abiteboul. The signing of Fernando Alonso is part of the group Renault plan to continue its commitment to Formula 1 and return to the top of the field. His presence in our team is a formidable asset on the sporting level, but also for the brand of which he is very attached. The strength of the bond between him and the team and the fans make him a natural choice. In addition to past successes, it is a bold mutual choice as well as a project for the future. His experience and determination will enable us to get the best out of each other to take the team towards excellence in the modern Formula 1 demands. He will bring to our team, which has grown very fast, a culture of racing and winning, that's an interesting statement, to overcome the hurdles together. Alongside Esteban, his mission will be to help Renault DP World Formula 1 team to prepare for the 2022 season in the best possible conditions. Fernando's statement reads like this: Renault is my family. My fondest memories in Formula 1 with my 2 World Championship titles, but now I'm looking ahead. It's a great source of pride, and with immense emotion I'm returning to the team that gave me my chance at the start of my career, which now gives me the opportunity to return to the highest level. I have the principles and ambitions in line with the team's project. Their progress in the winter gives credibility to the objectives they have for 2022. And I will share my racing experience with everyone from the engineers to the mechanics and my teammates. The team wants and has the means to get back to the podium, as do I. Plenty to unpack there. Cyril's statement, pretty straightforward. Alonso's statement, a little bit more spicy, talking about bringing that team to where they should be for 2022. And actually, before both of the statements, Renault did their own press releasey kind of mumbo jumbo, and in one of the paragraphs it mentions that Alonso's going to be with the team for the foreseeable future. So there's no announcement of it's a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal. It just says upcoming seasons, which is vague, but I like it because it's vague. So I'm thinking with this announcement, before we really unpack what's going on here, this is surely a 2 or 3 year deal minimum. Because even in Alonso's statement I just read out, he says teammates. And Ocon's only contracted for this season and next season. So this reads to me that Alonso has got himself perfectly placed to be that team leader at Renault for 2022, for the regulation change, which makes me a little bit excited. I'm not going to lie. But I know this is going to be an announcement that's heavily criticised. An announcement where people will say they should have looked at other drivers like your Gaslys, like your Bottas, if Bottas was going to move on, Formula 2 drivers. There's lots of different variables at play here. But what Renault really want is a proven race winner. That's why they went out of their way to sign Daniel Ricciardo for vast amounts of money. And that's why they were so salty and gutted when he left. Because he was, realistically, their perfect option. They could have gone for Sebastian Vettel. That would have been an option for them. But as they've said in their statements, they've worked with Alonso. This is going to be his 3rd stint with the team. Started his career there, technically, when he made his start for Minardi. He was a Renault contracted driver. Returned to Formula 1 a couple of years later. In 2002, was it? 2003, wasn't it? When he made his start for Renault. Then famously got those 2 world titles, 2005, 2006. Went to McLaren for 2007. Returned to Renault for 2008 and 2009 alongside Nelson Piquet Jr. Had the whole Spygate, Crashgate scandals at both of those teams, McLaren and Renault. Teammates with Romain Grosjean, of course, was probably the most famous part of Alonso's career. But no, then went to Ferrari, McLaren, and is now back at Renault. He's going to be a driver that's going to drag that team by the scruff of their neck. I mean, realistically, they've not been dreadful over the last few years. Since their return in 2016, it's been quite remarkable, their progress back through that midfield and to the front of the midfield. But last year, they did slip back. They dropped back a couple of positions. And this year, it's yet to be seen, their progress from last year's developments. So for Alonso, what Renault are looking for is for someone to say, look, stop the nonsense now. Let's just crack on with it. They got rid of Hülkenberg for a reason. They weren't happy with the fact he was unable to get that podium, and they didn't quite want the bogey on their back with that situation. And with Alonso, they're going to kind of either get one of 2 scenarios. It's going to either completely crash and burn, just like it did with McLaren and Honda. Alonso's not going to be happy. Relations are going to break down. The team ultimately will end up further back than they would have wanted. But it also could end the flip way, like it happened at Ferrari for many years. The car isn't good enough, but Alonso's able to get the best out of the car, which in itself motivates the team to do better. And his teammate, Esteban Ocon, what a driver for him to be up against. I spoke actually quite a bit that Ocon is kind of, though Toto Wolff suggests he is in the running for that Mercedes drive, I think he's out of the way a little bit and really is going to have to not only impress this season, but also next season. And going up against Alonso, if Ocon can beat Alonso, Mercedes will want him in that seat as quickly as they can. And alongside George Russell, what an opportunity that would be for Ocon to prove that he's potentially better than George Russell. So I really do understand where Renault are coming from. Ocon is, I suppose, an unquantifiable risk being a team leader. We're not sure how good he's going to be. The one issue I have with this, because I do think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, from a fan perspective, from a content creator perspective, team perspective, just a Formula 1 overall perspective, having Alonso back, I think will bring so many benefits, not just team radio, spicy racing, dramas in and out of the paddock. It's going to be great. And also throw in the Triple Crown. Wonder what's going to happen there. But I think the one thing which I'll take away from this that I'm disappointed with is that Renault do have a strong young driver programme. There will be people out there that will point out the fact that both Guan Yu Zhou and Christian Lundgaard at the moment do not have enough super licence points, but very easily that could change at the end of the season. Nicholas Latifi last year went into the final race of Formula 2 knowing he had to have a good weekend because he might not be able to get that F1 seat if he didn't have that great weekend and get enough super license points. Guan Yu Zhou is looking great, but is that too big of a risk, having a youngster and Ocon, when the team desperately need to prove to their investors they need to move to the front? And I'd love to know your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. But it's official, guys. Alonso is back, the return of the king, and I, for one, am very much looking forward to it. Thank you all very much for watching. If you want to keep up to date with all of the 2020 news, you know the drill by now. Subscribe button is down below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.